Tape Deck Media.
See you at the party, Richter!
Welcome to See You at the Potty, Richter. I am one of your hosts, Joseph Beck Castro. Joining me, as always, is Aaron Frescus.
Hello.
And Christopher Chapman.
Hey, howdy, hey.
For this episode, we're going to be doing Arnold's 1979 comedy western called The Villain. And if you're listening to this, you're probably like, yo, what the fuck is The Villain? And let me tell you, I have no idea either. So it came out in 1979. There's apparently a picture of Arnold with like cowboy attire and some chick with some boobs. And
with two really famous actors.
We can't even verify he is a cowboy, just that he's dressed as one.
Yeah, it's true. So yeah, I don't know. You go ahead and name those famous actors because I've maxed out my knowledge on this movie.
Kirk Douglas is one of them, and then Ann-Margret.
What else was Ann-Margret in? Like, I know who Kirk Douglas is.
Bye Bye Birdie. She's in the Grumpy Old Men movies. That's the first thing I saw her in, which is sad. I know she's in Bye Bye Birdie because I've seen that thing from Mad Men, and I'm like, damn, Ann-Margret is hot. I was watching that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's Ann-Margret.
That song is fucking annoying.
That song is annoying, but I
know what you guys are talking about.
It's the funny part of that song, which is okay. This already got off track, but the funny part of that song is that the way she's singing it makes her like she sounds like she's trying to sound like a little kid singing it, but then at the like near the very end of the song, all of a sudden she starts singing in her like she actually starts singing the song, and you're like, holy shit! Oh, she can sing. Why was she singing like that? So I've never seen the movie though. Maybe there's a reason that she was singing like that because all of a sudden she starts like singing the song, and you're like, "Oh shit, yeah, all right."
Yeah, it's like there's this Glee Club episode of, or maybe it's a Christmas episode or whatever of Community where
it's
Allison
both.
Brie. Okay, well there you go. Dressed up like Santa, and I cannot watch that scene because I absolutely love Allison Brie, but I can watch.
Oh, is she the one that sings it?
That. Yeah.
And
She's actually a really good singer, but
it, like she does it like annoying,
that same voice,
and she's trying to seduce Joel McHale in that scene.
Oh, so it's like maybe
gross.
that's why. So it's like that Santa Baby like song.
Exactly.
I fucking hate that song.
I can't listen to that shit. Like
Which one?
Santa Baby.
Oh, it's like it's like oh my god, why are you singing like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but
because it was the fucking 50s and all the men were perverts.
Yeah, I know. Thank God things have changed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank God that's not a problem anymore.
Anywho, back from annoying voices, back to somebody with an amazing voice, Arnold.
Yes. Okay, yeah. So yeah,
have him sing Santa Baby.
Okay. I'm not going to do it.
That's all. Just sit with that image for a minute.
I was just like, Santa Baby. Anyway, Kirk Douglas, who I've seen in Spartacus. I don't know. I think that might be. Oh, and Greedy.
I know he's in Spartacus. I've never seen it.
But yeah, so Ann-Margret, Kirk Douglas, and then I can't remember his name, Paul Lynde, which I don't. Again, as a name I know, but
I'm pretty sure I know who that is. I'm pretty sure he was on Hollywood Squares.
He was on Hollywood
aside
Squares.
From
I
that,
did look that up.
Yeah.
I have honestly nothing on this besides the first time I saw that picture, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, my wife, Laura, I was kind of telling her the genre of this movie. I said Arnold plays the cowboy, and she's like how they going to do like that accent or whatever? How are they going to explain it away? I'm like, well, I guess in German, like they won't even let Arnold do the Terminator's voice for the German dubs because he's like he has a German hillbilly or an Austrian hillbilly accent. So I'm like, this could actually work out quite well with like, he's just like a simple cowboy farmer from, Austria or whatever. So, it would, sorry, would check out.
That'd be great if he was from Kansas in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, like, and I was explaining to her, I was like, we literally, aside from Twins, which the movie's about, his brother, like we do not see any other family members, like besides like a wife and kid, like we don't see a cousin, we don't see an uncle, we don't see mother, father, like any of his movies, we don't see that.
Yeah.
So
until they make that Hans and Franz movie.
Sorry, I was trying to think of a movie.
Yeah, no, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Anything else though? Because
No, I think that's pretty much it. I'm genuinely excited to watch this movie,
yeah, you guys-
even though when we actually watch this movie, I'll probably fucking hate it. But
I don't
who
know.
knows?
I feel like I'm not going to hate it. It's more going to be like, oh my god.
I just a weird comedy from the 70s. I just feel like it's going to be way more boring than we expect.
I
don't know.
I've read a little bit more. I've read a little bit, not a little bit more, because you guys haven't read anything, but a little bit about this movie. I don't think it's going to be boring. But
No.
by the way, I also forgot to mention Poland, white guy, plays a Native American, so that'll be fun.
That'll be great.
So yeah, it's one of those movies.
And I'm sure that'll be the only problematic aspect of this movie.
Red face, huh?
I don't even know if he's doing red face. Like I mean, he is,
They didn't
but
even
I
bother
don't-
to put. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was like,
I don't think
Yeah.
he's doing like I don't know if they actually like.
I don't know if it's like Mel Brooks in Blazing Saddles.
Wait, what did they actually put makeup on him?
Yeah, he's like,
Okay.
he has makeup.
Okay,
on.
yeah. I don't know if they actually did. But the picture I saw was black and white. So, but it didn't look like it because he was standing next to what looked like either a Native American or a Mexican American. So because they're like
An
there's
actor
no-"
of color.
Yes, exactly. So I'm not sure, but anyway.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't make Blazing Saddles today because there's only like 4.5 hours left in the day. So I don't think they'd be able to make it in that time.
you should have started off with that, but getting but maybe cancel culture, a little bitch about it. They couldn't make Blazing Saddles today. It's like 7:30 already. There's no fucking way.
Can't make a movie in that time. Shit, we couldn't even make a podcast in that time. How long we gone? You guys don't know how much we actually edit this shit out.
Yeah, exactly.
This is mainly how these things go, and this is about 2 minutes worth of content that we're stretching like 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
All right. Any other comments? Anything going on? I don't know.
How you guys doing?
Just trying to make some conversation because once I edit this down, it's going to be like 3 minutes long.
I'm just lonely.
Pretty much.
No, man, that's it. We should go. Well, I was going to say watch the movie, but we don't do that yet. So
yeah, you can watch the movie if you want.
Anyway.
But yeah, we're gonna move into production stuff, which I don't think there's gonna be much of. So, which also might be a short thing. So this whole episode might be like a little 20-minute episode, unless I can figure. I'll figure out a way to make it long.
call it the Joe's penis episode. Very short.
And boring too.
Getting a little chode.
This is how we pad the episodes. Just turns into dick jokes. Anyway, yeah. So I guess
that's it. We'll see you in 10 seconds.
Yep.
Okay, that's
Bye.
it.
What about that white man? Piss on the white man.
And we're back. Welcome back. We're going to tell you some more stuff. We're going to talk about the some of the production info, what little we could find on this movie. So I'm going to throw it over to Aaron.
Hello, that's me. Okay, so before we get into it, just a heads up to both the listeners and to you guys. This is technically the first episode where we're trying out the new format, which was super fun as far as researching the movie because there was pretty much zero available information for this. So because of that, I kind of got sidetracked a bit here and there, like quite a bit. But these production episodes normally will be much more focused on the actual film for like the remaining movies that we do. Just want to throw that out there. So
when it's a film that literally anyone has heard of, yes.
Exactly. I just want to people that listen to this aren't like, what the fuck is this? Why is he talking about the second assistant director's high school girlfriend? It's like because it's funny. Anyway. Okay, so let's get going. Okay, so the villain was the third film directed by Hal Needham, who has an interesting list of credits on IMDb. So he started off as a stuntman, which he's definitely most famous for. He's actually like one of the most famous stuntmen ever. He's like right up there with like the greats like Vic Armstrong, who was in the Indiana Jones movies. He played like the guy that he boxed under the plane. But anyway.
Yeah, the huge Nazi, yeah.
Yeah, the huge Nazi and then the racist caricature. in the second, like the big guy that he that gets eaten up by
that gets
the crushed.
Oh shit! I didn't even realize he was in Temple of Doom.
Yeah, he is. He's in brownface in Temple of Doom.
Got it.
And then so like the greats like him, Quentin Beck, who is in the Sinister Six, and then Gonzo the Great, who likes to fuck chickens. So his name's right up there. Seriously though, he's like one of the top. He was one of the top stuntmen of the '60s, which I'm guessing was probably a tad less regulated than it is now, and super dangerous. I'm assuming
he probably actually set himself on fire a few times.
And I think that one shot of there's always this one shot that's old of this guy completely on fire. I'm pretty sure that's him.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
but I'm not positive because it was included in a clip when they were introducing him. So either he was also a stunt coordinator though, so it might just have been one of his stunts that he. But anyway, he was also a regular stunt double for Burt Reynolds, who he became lifelong friends with. Needham even lived in Burt's guest house for 12 years, and Burt was the best man at his wedding. In fact, the relationship was actually the inspiration for Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio's character's friendship in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I haven't seen but heard great reviews about from Chris. Joe, did you watch that?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I did. It's
okay.
Long.
Yes. Yes,
So-
it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Just curious.
Set you guys up for that one?
No. He's saying that because he did not like it. So I haven't seen it.
Oh,
Yeah.
why didn't you like it?
I only watched it the one time, but I found it like the length was a lot of it. It felt so much more meandering and like a slow burn is one thing, but there are sections of that movie that I'm just like, why the fuck are we watching this? Like, what are we doing? But there are parts I like this the shit when DiCaprio's like on set and he's like talking to that little girl and shooting his scene and stuff. That's all fine. The stuff where Brad Pitt like actually has to go like do something at the ranch, that stuff's cool. But there's just a lot of the movie that I'm just like, I don't know what we're doing. And obviously the end picks up a whole lot and
Is that
you get a whole lot of action.
The Manson thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spoilers,
Kind of. That's kind of what the whole movie's about, but yeah.
Yeah. Talking about Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, it's the part where he takes his rib out.
Yeah. You know why he did that?
He loves ribs.
Wait, so who's supposed to be the stuntman? Brad Pitt?
Brad Pitt. Yeah.
Okay.
DiCaprio's the actor.
Okay, so DiCaprio's the Burt Reynolds. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have figured it the other way around, just because Brad Pitt is Brad Pitt prettier than Leonardo DiCaprio, but
Stupid.
Anyway.
So
sorry, if you want to rebuttal that joke, go ahead, but it's like, no. Okay. So
this movie does not inspire much passion in anybody.
He's like, I liked it, but not enough to defend it and argue about it. But yeah, so Needham also designed stunt safety equipment, was actually famous enough as a stuntman that he even got his own action figure in the 70s, which is crazy. It was called
awesome, actually.
Yeah, it is super. It's cool. It's just weird because like he's a stuntman. I don't know. It's something that would never happen now.
Yeah.
But it was called the Hal Needham Western Movie Stunt Set, and I watched a I guess it was an infomercial. It was like a 5-minute long infomercial where they got Dick Van Dyke to promote it. It was weird. But he made.
Did he have a relationship with Dick Van Dyke?
I have no idea. This guy's got connection. I think he's probably just super nice, and he's in so many things that, like, I'm sure he does. And if Dick Van Dyke is Dick Van doing some stunts, then I'm sure he knows Hal Needham. Anyway, so he made his directorial debut with the 1977 comedy Smokey and the Bandit, starring Burt Reynolds and Sally Field, or Sally Fields if you're on Schwarzenegger, because that's what he calls her in that interview.
Sally
but
Fields.
anyways, yeah, which ended up being the second highest grossing movie of 1977, which is crazy.
Damn. Yeah,
pulling in almost $127 million, which was $10 million more than the number 3 movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Jesus.
Which is crazy. And the only reason that it wasn't the number one movie of 1977 is because one of the biggest movies ever was released that same year. Any guess what that was?
I'm going to say Star Wars, but then you're going to say
Yes.
something dumb.
No, it was Star
okay.
Wars.
I thought you were going to.
Although that would have been a good joke. I should have done that. Yeah, so Star Wars made $221 million. Oh, so basically $100 million more than the second place movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but it's like just astounding to me how popular Smokey and the Bandit was.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know.
I'm not knocking it. I actually watched it for the first time last weekend, and it's entertaining.
Yeah,
It's definitely better than The Villain.
I guess it's not like that surprising when a movie like The Hangover can make like a huge amount of money when it comes out in theaters. Like, I guess that makes sense. It's like a comedy. I don't know.
I don't know. I think what I find odd is that a movie that big and popular left pretty much no cultural footprint.
I don't know about that. I heard about
Really?
Smokey and the Bandit all the way up until like the late 2000s. Like that was like
but we're old.
That was like a pop culture reference, I guess.
Like obviously Star Wars did, and I say Close Encounters of the Third Kind did, and Saturday Night Fever did, which was the number 4 movie, by the way. But that's probably only due to one of them being directed by Spielberg, because I've never seen Close Encounters, so it's good. I think I'm sure it's good.
I'm sure it's good. I've only seen
It's
parts
good?
of it.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's good.
Yeah, and then the other one being so closely associated with like one of the most recognizable songs ever, "Staying Alive," which is just good for strutting.
It's true.
Anyway, so I'm assuming with how well Smokey and the Bandit did, Hal Needham basically had carte blanche as far as his next movie, which was 1978's Hooper, about an aging stuntman out to prove he's still the best around. And this also starred Burt Reynolds and Sally Field, and ended up being the 6th highest grossing movie of 1978.
Wow.
Which is crazy when you see its place in the top 10 of that year, because it's the only movie on that list that I've never heard of. Because it beat out Jaws the Revenge, it beat out Jaws 2, The Revenge of the Pink Panther, The Deer Hunter, and Halloween.
Wow.
And then the top 5 were Grease, Superman, Animal House, Every Which Way But Loose, and Heaven Can Wait.
Jesus.
So it somehow got in there.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of that movie before, like researching this. He then does The Villain, which is definitely the outlier of his directing career, because he mostly seems to stick to like an automotive-ish theme going forward. Because he follows The Villain up with a TV movie called Death Car on the Freeway. And and then eventually Smoking the Bandit 2.
That sounds like a fucking 30 Rock joke.
I didn't actually look up what it was about. Feel free to look up what it's about. I'm assuming it's probably very self-explanatory.
Death.
It's probably about a death car on the freeway, I would assume.
Yeah.
But then Smoking the Bandit 2, and then Cannonball Run, which I attempted to watch the other day, but turned off after about 45 minutes when I realized I wasn't paying attention. So
what's Cannonball Run about?
Okay, so it's pretty much like a less entertaining version of Rat Race, the movie Rat Race, which I know is just basically just a remake of Mad World. Yeah. So it's there's a race, an actual race. It's called the Cannonball Run from New York to L.A. And basically it's to see how fast you can get there in how many hours or whatever.
Okay, got it.
Except it's usually attempted by like one. It's not an actual race. It's like attempted by one person. Like someone will just try to do it and try to beat the record. But in the movie, it's an actual race, like how it would be, like with Rat Race, basically.
Got it.
So like it's an actual race that they're trying to get there first. And it's the same thing as far as that. It's got a bunch of celebrity, like random celebrities in it. Like Roger Moore is playing himself. But, and again, I wasn't paying attention, but I'm pretty sure that Roger Moore is playing himself, but he's not actually Roger Moore. Like Roger Moore is a character that he made up. And I don't think he's even British. I think he's from California in it. And then like Roger Moore's a character he made, like a persona.
What a fucking weird.
I think either that or I just made that up, and that's way better than what they went with, because that's a great idea.
Sorry, update on Death Car on the Freeway.
Yeah,
it's essentially just Death Proof. You know what I'm talking about? The Grindhouse movie?
I know what it is. I've never seen it.
So let's see. A television reporter investigates a series of freeway murders involving a psychopathic van driver who is deliberately targeting and killing female motorists by crashing into their cars.
Wait, that's the one with Kurt Russell, right?
Kurt Russell is Death Proof.
For Death Proof, yeah.
Yeah, Death Proof is Kurt Russell as a stunt driver who kills people by, like, he has his stunt car. He goes on the freeway. He turns off his lights and he slams into people head on with his stunt car.
That actually was that Quentin Tarantino or Robert Rodriguez?
That was Tarantino.
You know?
Death Proof was Tarantino.
That would make sense because he obviously knows Hal Needham.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So
but yeah.
like it probably was what's it called?
I'm sure it's an homage. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
real quick, just the print ad for that movie says, "He kills with a van. Beautiful women are his victims until one meets him head on. Death car on the freeway."
I love that that's the fucking name of this.
Yeah, you gotta be like, it's a TV movie too, which is weird.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, so
anyway. Ooh, it stars George Hamilton.
Really?
Yeah, apparently.
He's so bronze. So the guy in the villain who plays the stuttering Western Union worker.
Yes.
He's in Cannonball Run and he's doing the same stuttering thing. Which I was like, wait.
Really? Does he have a stutter?
That's what I was, at first I was like, dude, come on. This wasn't funny last time. Then I was like, oh, maybe he actually has a stutter. And then I looked up his trivia and it's not in the trivia at all. So I don't know. No.
So but weird. Did he have a lot of other credits?
He's apparently he's a famous country singer, like old country singer. His name is Mel Tillis.
Oh, damn.
Oh yeah, isn't that Pam Tillis's dad?
I don't know who
God,
those
that makes
people
sense.
are, so let's assume so.
I know who Pam Tillis is only because the Hulu Live has a 90s country channel, and I'm like, who the fuck is Pam Tillis? Get to Shania Twain already.
Yep. It is the daughter of... She's the daughter of Mel Tillis. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. But anyway, so Cannonball Run. Another massive hit. At the time, it was scored the 4th highest opening weekend ever, which is insane.
Damn. God damn.
And it was also the 6th highest grossing movie of 1981 because apparently Hal Needham and Burt Reynolds, they just spin box office gold.
Apparently people just loved car stunts in the 70s. Like
that, and I think they love Burt Reynolds too. Like he was charismatic as fuck.
And that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. In Smoking the Bandit, I was like, oh yeah, I kind of like Burt Reynolds. Like he is. Yeah. It's like borderline inappropriate comments with Sally Field, but
I don't even care that he's clearly 15 years older than her.
The Flying Nun. Stay away from her. Anyway, so from there he does a sequel to that, and then he does a movie titled Rad about a kid who wants to be a BMX racer, and I guarantee you've both seen the poster before because...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I've heard a lot about that movie. That's one of those famous, like, awful movies.
Yeah, so it's like it's a very 80s poster.
Yeah.
But then his credits get a bit weird. So he moves over to TV where he directs an episode of a show called BL Striker, which stars Burt Reynolds. And the description on IMDb is a houseboat living private eye who solves crimes. Which I'm like, oh man. Houseboat living private eye who solves crimes.
Houseboat living private eye.
Yeah.
I just think that's a funny phrase.
Yeah. I kind of want to watch it. He then does 4 TV movies in a row that seem to be prequels of the original Smokey and the Bandit. So they star Brian Bloom as Bandit, and the first one, titled Bandit: Bandit Goes Country, aired in January of 1994, and co-stars Elizabeth Berkley, aka Jessie from Saved by the Bell, as his love interest.
Huh.
The next one aired
Bandit
March
not country to start with? I'm confused.
I don't know. Maybe he's from New York City.
They all seem pretty country.
Get a rope.
I always like those commercials because it's just like, I don't know, man. I trust salsa from New York City over like some fucking country white dude in
that's true.
Fucking Texas or something, you know?
Like sticking his finger in it to try it and stuff like that.
He's like, oh man, it's too spicy.
I don't need no spoon. That's what my pointer here's for.
Steve, that's the extra mild. Well, it's too damn hot.
Damn, what kind of tomatoes you put in this?
Apparently some people find ketchup spicy.
What?
That's like a thing.
Who? Have you met someone?
Insane.
My friend lives in Minnesota and she was talking about that. Like some people don't like ketchup because they find it spicy. And also for like the people in Minnesota, like Old El Paso taco seasoning or whatever, they had to make an extra mild for like, people up there.
For white people.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Damn.
So that was the first Bandit movie. The next one aired March of 94 and is titled Bandit: Bandit: Bandit on IMDb.
What?
Yeah, on IMDb. I don't know if that's the actual name, but that's what it's titled on there. This was followed by Bandit: Beauty and the Bandit, with Kathy Ireland playing a love interest. And this also has Tony Curtis billed Fitz, which is a good get, I think. I'm not sure about the 90s Tony Curtis, but like nobody was like demanding Tony Curtis then. I don't think.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Anyway, Needham then closes out the series with Bandit: Bandit Silver Angel, co-starring Tracy Lords, who I think is like was a soft porn star. Tracy Lords as Angel Austin. By the way, these last two aired a week apart.
Also sounds like a porn name.
Yeah. These last two aired a week apart in April of 94. So this dude had 4 Bandit TV movies released within 4 months, like the first 4 months of the year. And I'm just curious of the thought process when it was decided to greenlight not just 1, but 4 of them. Like more than 10 years after the last theatrically released Smokey and the Bandit was a box office bomb that didn't even earn back its like $7 million budget. So it's just weird that, I don't know. They're like, we have Hal Needham back.
Well, I think like back in the day, channels would just stop airing shit at a certain time at like midnight. It'd be like TV static for a couple hours. They just didn't have enough.
I kind of like you with hiccups.
They didn't have enough stuff to show, so they pulled like Lord of the Rings. They're like, fuck it, make all 4 of them at once. Like we don't have to rebuild the sets,
That's
all
true.
that other stuff.
Yeah,
they did make there isn't really any TV movies anymore. Yeah, because my dad used to watch a lot of like those dramas where like the mom would drown her kids or something like that. Like those like they're Lifetime dramas now, but they would be on like CBS and whatnot like ABC all the time.
Was your dad like looking for how to's and shit? Like
that's what I was thinking.
Thinking about it, man.
He's like, what mistakes did they make? So I can avoid.
Writing it down. Just never really getting the balls to go through with it.
Yeah. Was he taking notes this whole time, Aaron?
Because like it was a TV movie on ABC.
Yeah, that's true.
Which,
so was like The Stand, right? There was a TV.
The Stand and The Shining.
Yeah.
They did. Did you watch that the Steven Weber Shining, Joe?
No, I haven't.
Okay, just curious.
I haven't been able to find it, but Stephen King definitely likes that one a lot better. I think he was a producer on that.
I heard it wasn't good, but
I heard that as well. But I think it's more true to the book.
Okay, yeah, I did remember reading that. So because I think I read a trivia on it, but anyway. So yeah, that's our director. Whose career thankfully didn't seem to be affected, really be affected by the villain's poor reception and box office numbers.
Yeah.
But even if he never ended up directing another movie again, as I mentioned, he's still was regarded as the greatest. He's what's going to work either way.
Yeah, definitely.
This movie didn't really hurt any of the actors' careers either, but the same can definitely not be said for the writer. One, Mr. Robert G. Kane, who only has 2 credits listed on IMDb, both of which are writing credits, and the villain being the last one. So it's possible that the movie could be at least partially responsible for his potential career as a Hollywood screenwriter being short-lived.
What was the first one?
I'll get there.
Okay.
But I gotta say, the fact that it took me literally 1 second to look over this dude's entire body of work honestly made me kind of sad after realizing that if we'd just done a Robert G. Kane podcast instead of an Arnold Schwarzenegger one, we'd be halfway done after this movie. It's like, oh man. Speaking of halfway done, okay, yeah, let's take a minute to check out old Bobby Kane's remaining credit. Why? Because I started getting desperate for content after being unable to find anything. So I got sort of like a half a podcast chub after looking up old Robert Kane's other credit on IMDb because, fellas, it is Chef's Kiss. I'm not going to make that noise. They're like, what's he doing?
Never heard of that movie, Chef's Kiss.
Yeah. It's actually very close. So his first movie was a 1964 comedy starring Fred MacMurray, he was in The Absent-Minded Professor, the 60s, the Disney's Absent-Minded Professor, the old one. Anyway, you'd recognize him if you saw him. But it starred Fred MacMurray and Polly Bergen, and it was titled Kisses for My President. And it's basically about the first female elected U.S. president, which sounds fairly progressive for a movie released in 1964, especially coming from the same guy whose only other writing credit might be one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's worst films and is almost definitely one of Kirk Douglas and Ann-Margret's worst films. But anyway, so the whole female president plotline of this movie kind of took me by surprise when I read it, because I was like, got me wondering, like, is it possible that Bobbert Kane is actually like a super talented writer, but then like maybe his original script for the villain was this hilariously clever take on the Roadrunner cartoons, but then like, you know, budget cuts or studio interference turned it into what we saw. But then I clicked on the IMDb link description and no, it's definitely written by the same dude that wrote the villain. So I'm gonna send the link, and cool. One of you guys want to read it?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Because it's good. I'm gonna send it in the chat, I guess.
Not to just repeat myself, but "Kisses for My President" also sounds like a 30 Rock joke.
It does sound like a 30 Rock joke.
Like way more than "Death Car on the Freeway."
Yeah, who's gonna read it?
I'll read it.
Well, yeah,
I'll save Joe.
Not me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, save you guys from having to fucking edit everything.
Oh, no. I've already decided. Like it's staying. Like anytime you hiccup through it, I'm like, yeah, it's hiccups. It's just a comedy thing at this point. Anyway.
All right. So plot summary for "Kisses for My President."
Like the log line thing.
When the women of America join together on Election Day and elect a Leslie McLeod as the U.S. president, things get a little awkward. Especially for her husband, Thad McLeod. He, as first husband, must take over the job of the first lady in the women's group and garden parties.
Okay, so
Jesus Christ.
So of course, the first thing I did after reading that was look up the full description on Wikipedia, and oh man, it gets so much better than what Chris just read. So,
are you going to talk about the poster?
No, go ahead, because I don't even.
I just think the poster's the poster's hilarious. It's mostly fine. It's just like it looks kind of like an election poster. It's got like the blue stripes with stars in it and red font, and a picture of the lady. And then in the lower right corner is a picture of what I assume to be her husband, except he's got one of those fancy ladies' hats on. That's the whole poster. That's how they sell the fucking movie.
There you go.
Oh, man.
He just looks like a lady at at opening day at the Derby or Kentucky Derby.
Okay, super quick rundown of the plot. U.S. elects the first female president. She moves into the White House with her husband and 2 kids, but then immediately becomes too busy for them because she has to deal with a Central American dictator, as well as like some dickhead senator. And I'm sure audiences in 1964 were just probably clutching their pearls over the possibility of a woman putting her career before her family. Yeah. I told this to Erica, and Erica's like, they're still doing it now. What are you talking about? I'm like, it's true.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah, so the tone of the movie is all over the place because it seems as if it starts off like a typical 60s comedy with stuff like the president's husband, who, like you said, Thad, which is just great. It's just which is sad that it took me. I'm like, Thad, what is that short? Like, what's that short for? Thadador. Thadador. Yeah, I was like, oh, Thaddeus. Anyway, so yeah, so the president. That too. Anyway, so the president's husband is upset about how feminine his bedroom and office in the White House is. And then like stuff like the Latin American dictator visiting Washington. And then the president has Thad show him around town. And of course they end up at a burlesque show. So just because it's like a fucking rom-com sort of shit where like, I like how that's a strip club of the 60s because you can't say strip club back then. So like, oh, they go at a burlesque show. But then Thad gets into a fight at the burlesque show and accidentally punches the dictator, which is again like stupid shit. So,
amazing.
Exactly. Just silly stuff like that before the writer, Bobbert G. Kane, decides to throw audience a little curveball because it goes from those rom-com type shenanigans to pretty quickly turning into like an episode of House of Cards or Scandal or something. And I was seriously, as I was reading this, hanging on every word because I was like, holy shit. I might have been drinking too. But anyway, so I'm just going to, I have it just reading basically off of Wikipedia, but it says the first daughter is running around town with a very unsuitable boyfriend and using her position to get out of scrapes with the police. Meanwhile, the president's son has become a bully using the Secret Service men for protection as he terrorizes everyone in his school, including the principal, which, damn, that sounds like some real life shit right there. Also, I'm curious why the daughter's boyfriend was considered unsuitable because it doesn't say. So this is 1964, so I'm assuming it was probably something like his hair being too shaggy, or he listened to rock and roll music, or he was like Catholic or part Italian or something like super tolerant like that. I don't know. Okay, so it starts getting like more political. So I think my favorite part is how it ends, because I'm just going to read the last 5 sentences from Wikipedia summary because it gets a little politically and I'm too dumb to. I was like, I'm not going to try to summarize this. But basically what happens is the dad finds out about some scandal between the dictator and the senator. And it says, quote, the senator aggressively portrays the lady president as weak in resisting communism because she refuses to give the Latin American dictator more foreign aid for his personal enrichment while he does nothing to alleviate poverty in his country. It's like, holy shit.
Jesus, yeah.
The Soviets are also co-funding the dictator to prevent him from being influenced by the U.S. As soon as the president drops her support for the dictator, the Soviets do so as well. And that's, yeah. So I was like, holy shit, it definitely seems to get pretty serious at the end. And I was also kind of surprised, like, it's still kind of progressive for the 60s because the female president just like handles the hell out of all that presidential stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, right up until the end.
And
when Bobbert King decides to close the movie out with, quote, the president then discovers that she's pregnant and resigns the presidency to devote herself full time to her family. With Thad joking about male superiority and that 40 million women voters may have put her into office, but only one man himself could remove her. So that's how the movie ends. And the best part is I'm just like kind of when I read that I was imagining Hal Needham walking out of the theater after a showing of Kisses from My President, just running over to the nearest payphone and calling up the producers of the villain, being like, "Fellas, we found our screenwriter." Yes, it's like
what the fuck.
He was also, by the way, he was a writer for the Dean Martin roast too. Robert G. Kane, the writer.
Okay.
But still, but that was that's his unlisted credit. But those are his two credits on IMDb. Which
but that's probably how he actually got the job.
Yeah, probably how he got the job.
I assume Burt Reynolds was at a lot of those roasts.
Yeah, probably. And also, like how I'm assuming how he made a living because he's like, like fuck this. Like I didn't actually look up how Kisses from My President did, but the villain didn't do so well, so he never did another movie again. Okay, so apologies for that. That's the sidetrack right there, which I was like, as I started reading more, I was like, oh my God, this movie is amazing. When I saw it, I was like, oh, he's only done 2 movies. What was the other one? Thank God I looked at that. Anyway, so we're mostly going to stay on track from here on out, but especially because I started running out of time after spending so long with all that shit. So the villain stars Kirk Douglas, Ann-Margret, and then co-stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, also Paul Lynde as well. But I was only able to dig up one interview clip, but I did find quotes from each of them about the movie, sort of. It's they mention it in passing, basically.
Yeah.
All of them in their autobiographies. Kirk Douglas mentions it in his 1988 autobiography, which is called The Ragman's Son. By the way, he has like 4 different autobiographies. At least 3. I might be exaggerating with 4, but like he's got, I think he's got one regular one. Then he's got one about, I think after he had the stroke. And I think he was talking about like, dealing with that. But anyway, he's talks about it, or he mentions it while talking about his 1962 movie, Lonely Are the Brave. And he says, quote, even now, I'm constantly running into people who tell me that they named their horse Whiskey after my beautiful Palomino mare, which was what the horse's name was in the Lonely Are the Brave. Yeah. So he said, I used the name again for my horse in The Villain in 1978. We got a joke out of it. I walked into the saloon, pound on the bar, demand whiskey, and my horse ambles in through the swinging doors. And that's pretty much all I could find with him talking about the movie, but it's one of the only jokes that I laughed at in the movie. So I was like, hell yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. The movie also apparently reunited Kirk Douglas with the director Hal Needham after Needham had worked he was his stunt double in 3 different movies in the 60s. But anyway, moving on. Ann-Margret's mentioning of the movie in her 1994 autobiography titled Ann-Margret, My Story is 100% in passing as well. Although it's surrounded by some pretty somber times in her life because, fuck. So, because she casually mentions that she attended the film's premiere while segueing between, and I kid you not, a story about her last visit with Elvis at Graceland shortly before he died.
Jesus.
And her talking about when she broke her long-standing sobriety and started drinking again after dealing with the disappointment of 3 false pregnancies.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Ann-Margret dealt with some shit.
Jesus Christ.
So anyway, so then we have Arnold, who absolutely gushes about the film in his 2012 autobiography, Total Recall. He mentions the villain as one of the projects he worked on while waiting for producer Ed Pressman to secure a development deal for Conan the Barbarian, which was like a years-long process, and we actually covered it in the Conan production episode. So check it out if you haven't heard it, because there's some pretty good stories about Arnold and Dino De Laurentiis in there. But anyway, so Arnold mentions working on the villain during that time, saying, quote, Ed lined up projects to give me more experience in front of the camera. I played a supporting role in The Villain, a Western spoof starring Kirk Douglas and Ann-Margret. The name of my character was Handsome Stranger, and the rest of the movie was just as lame. It flopped totally at the box office when it came out in 1979, and the best thing I can say about it is that I improved my horse riding skills, which I think is great, because I think the next chance that he had to show off those improved horse riding skills was Conan, and he's running around throughout most of it. So
I was going to say, I don't think he rides a horse in this movie either. Isn't he just in the coach the whole time?
No, when he's chasing the firemen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, when he's chasing the fire truck.
And I think I might have already mentioned this, but I can definitely see why the actors decided to do this movie. Like, the first 2 movies directed by Hal Needham were top 10 grossing movies of the year that were released. So it's probably his track record at the box office made it a little easier to say yes for Kirk Douglas and Ann-Margret, like, even if the script wasn't great. But anyway, the film was financed by Rostar Films, who had also produced Smokey and the Bandit for $4.3 million, which ended up making $126 million. So I'm sure Rostar was initially like seeing dollar signs when they agreed to finance the villain for $4.5 million, because they're like, hell yeah, $4 million and pulled out 126. I don't know. Anyway, by the way, I think it was $4 million.
What do you mean you think it was $4 million?
Or sorry, I think it was $4.5 million. The budget. I'm not sure, because on the AFI website it has 2 different listed budgets, with them saying that the LA Times listed. So basically, they were like, the LA Times is listing the budget for as $4.5 million, but then Variety said it was actually $6 million. And then it's listed on IMDb for $5 million. Maybe because they were like, let's split the difference. So I have no idea. Like, this is how doing research for the movie was. It was like, it could have been this or it could have been that. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It didn't make its money back.
Exactly. And this happens more than once on the AFI page. By the way, that's American Film Institute, not A Fire Inside, the band. AFI just really, really loves the villain. It's actually what Black Sails in the Sunset's about. It's about the villain. Anyway, there's a little paragraph about the number of horses that ended up playing whiskey, with it basically saying like, it's like, yeah, man. Well, the Hollywood Reporter mentioned that 6 horses played whiskey, but then Variety was like, no, it was totally 8 horses that played whiskey. But then it also notes that the only horse that's credited is some horse named Ott. So like, there's only one credited horse. So who fucking knows?
I don't know.
Anyway,
that just speaks to the magnificence of his performance.
Yes, the best part of that movie. And then, according to the IMDb trivia, this has to do with the horse as well. So, on the French soundtrack, the horse named Whiskey had a dubbed voice added to make it sound even funnier, which I'm like, oh my God, that would have been amazing. And I don't know if that's true because it's IMDb, but I would love to see that, just like the horse doing like the stereotypical like French laugh, like ha ha ha, like as like whenever Kirk Douglas like I don't know, fucks up.
It was just Pepe Le Pew.
Exactly.
Going with the whole Looney Tunes thing.
Going with that theme, exactly. So the AFI page notes that principal photography began October 16th, 1978 on location in Monument Valley, Arizona, and then 5 additional sites around the Arizona desert. But filming was scheduled to wrap by December 3rd, 1978, which a month and a half is super fast for shooting a movie, is it not? Like, I don't know. It just sounds like
6 weeks isn't that fast.
Really?
I mean, no.
Okay.
Not really. Especially if you're one of those people who's really trying to get it in like under budget, like efficiently.
Oh yeah.
Like
sorry, all I said was get it in. I'm like, hell yeah.
That's why you make movies in the first place. Get laid.
Got to get it in I can get it in. Anyway, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think 6 weeks is like.
It's not too bad. Okay. I wasn't sure. Like I was like, was he just like 3 months, or did I just pull it out of my ass? I guess I did. But then I have 2 random trivia tidbits that I'll probably end up inserting into the summary. So,
inserting.
Yeah, right. So apparently they hired a former NASA engineer whose name was Joe Sargent, which is kind of a cool name. I'm looking at it and drinking.
Wow, that's an awesome name.
So they hired him as an advisor to help with controlling the operation of the rolling boulder by means of radio waves, which I was shocked to learn it wasn't paper mache.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently that had something inside of it that it wasn't paper mache. It was. Yeah.
It was the fucking BB-8 of its time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jesus.
Also, why did Joe Sargent not join the military so it can be a G.I. Joe Sargent? And then he'll eventually be Sergeant Joe Sargent. Like, it's right fucking there.
I mean, sometimes people go from the military to NASA, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Then the last one is a little more depressing. This is the last film that Paul Lynde made before he passed away in 1982. But at least he went on top. Am I right? Switching gears.
Jesus.
So the film opened July 27th, 1979, and was number 8 at the box office. But I have no idea how much it made its opening weekend because it was an incredible pain in the ass even finding its opening weekend ranking. Because it wasn't on any of the sites that I usually pull box office numbers from, like Box Office Mojo. I think there's I know there's a couple more. But yeah, the only thing mentioned for that weekend is the number 1 movie and the number 2 movies.
That's weird. Yeah,
it was weird that I couldn't find anything anywhere. So I seriously spent hours looking for it, going through like the New York Times, like Adderall, by the way, is what did this. I guarantee you what did this. Because I was like, no. I'm going to fucking find this.
You're going through the archives?
No, yes. I started going through the New York Times archives online.
Jesus.
Wow. Which, by the way, I happened to come across an article from July 30th, 1979 that I saved for Joe. It's titled, Raiders Appear in Good Shape. So, I'll send that to you because I was like, Joe might like reading that. Just, it's a little blast from the past. Because it wasn't that when they were like super good?
Yeah.
79 or no?
Yeah, but they won the Super Bowl the next year, 1980.
Okay. Was that John Madden time?
I think Madden retired before 1980. I'm not sure exactly what year, but he was the coach of the 76 team. That some say is the greatest team of all time, but that won the Super Bowl. So somewhere between, I wasn't alive back then, somewhere between 76 and 80, he retired and Tom Flores took over, and he won 2 Super Bowls.
Well, they were in good shape, according to the New York Times. So.
Yeah. Yeah, did he see them all shirtless and like, damn, these guys are in good shape?
He's like,
didn't work it out.
Found the title for my article.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah. Anyway, so I then attempted to start looking through the Variety archives, but you have to be a member or something like that. So I started like trying to find a way to bypass that. But yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Like, okay, so I was like, okay, wait. So if I'm like alumni of like NYU or UCLA, I've got to know someone that is. And I don't even know if I think you have to be active. But anyway, so eventually I went the smarter route, which it took a while to get there. But I just decided to try the local Union Tribune archives. And I eventually found a top films listed for that weekend, which took at least a few hours, when I realized, I'm like, holy shit, I've been working on this for 3 hours.
Jesus.
But it was weird because the listing was for the top films of the week ending August 1st, but the paper that listed it was the August 17th edition. So it was like 2 weeks later, which was super weird. I was like, I had to like look over a few times. Also, the list rather of the top movies is right next to a ton of adult movie rental like ads. And like there's an ad, and because it's local, there's an ad for F Street. There's an ad
I was just about to ask about that.
Yes, there is an ad for F Street. There is an ad for something called the Man Trap Theater. And
what?
I don't know. I should screen share this the thing. And then there's an ad for the Dolphin Motel, which is showing free adult films. So
You just have to pay for a lube or what?
I don't know.
Like, how do they make money?
For a room.
I think
It's a motel.
Oh,
It's like free HBO with a motel.
Gotcha.
Oh, is that their? That's their draw?
Forgot the motel part, and I just heard free adult films. And I was like, A, I got excited, and B, I thought it was like a theater or something. Like, well, how do they make like theaters make money off of popcorn and shit? Like, maybe you go to this one, and they're like, well, like,
But can I get the butter on the side?
That's a
they're
good.
like, well, the movie's free, but the lube and the tissues and everything else are not.
Tissues?
Or an old gym sock. Like you can't you can't bring in your old gym sock. You got to purchase
Hey, look,
it here.
it goes where it goes. It's a fucking porn theater.
Have some fucking decorum, dude.
Maybe sit more than one seat away from me. How about that?
Okay, so check this out. Look at that shit. You got Amber Hunt starring in Candy Stripers.
Whoa.
With Sharon, like it's just
adult movies.
Yeah. So here's all the like the TV, like the actual movie stuff, and then you go down. I'm like, holy shit, what is all that? The senator's daughter, eh? Ooh, John Holmes, he's got a dick and a half. I think. I've never seen it, but I think that's what I've heard.
World's San Diego's largest and finest selection of adult motion pictures on video.
Which one? Are you, F Street? Which one?
No, the one right under F Street.
There's-
Uncover San Diego's largest
See,
and finest.
What did this place close down? Like we only had one to go to.
This week's special, Candy Stripers.
This is good stuff. There's the Dolphin Motel, free adult films, cinema cassettes, currently adult hits. $10.95, 3 days. That's not too
Damn,
bad.
Candy Stripers was running the fucking business at the time.
Yeah, you got that Sharon Thorpe in it, and Montana, who I hope isn't a horse.
Trap.
Mantrap Theater sounds like where Thad would go take the dictator because it's
Yeah, that's true.
ladies' night, male dancers, couples night, male and female dancers. This was in Oceanside. What the fuck? North County used to be way cooler.
There's a couple's night.
Yeah, there's a couples night.
I love it.
So everything
Oh,
was.
the Frisco Kid. I want to watch that.
Is that an adult movie? Because otherwise, I don't want to watch
No,
it.
it's Harrison Ford and Gene Wilder.
Harrison
I've seen,
Ford was
like-
in a movie with Gene Wilder?
Yeah, Gene Wilder was like a
He
rabbi.
was in an adult movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The-
I've seen like part of this movie. It's actually kind of funny.
The original title was The Dixco Kid. Yeah, that wasn't good. The Frisco.
The Frisky Kid, dumb.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why it was, set in Frisco.
Anyway, so sorry, but okay, so the Villain finished number 8 for its opening weekend, and real quick rundown of top 10. Number 1 was Amityville Horror, which actually released the same weekend, which that movie Villain never stood a fucking
Wow.
chance.
Yeah.
And that movie scared the hell out of me when I was watching it as a kid, but it does not hold up when you watch it as an adult. It is, it's just the effects, and it's just not scary. It's, I don't know. Anyway, number 2 is Meatballs, which I've never seen, but I believe it's Bill Murray. And I think he's a chef he's an Italian chef, isn't he? He works at Olive Garden. Is it? No? I don't know. Nobody knows what it's about. Neither of you've seen it. That is what it's about.
I know what it's about.
Oh, what it's about? What's it about?
I've never seen it. He's like a camp counselor.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Meatballs is about kids. Yeah. Although for the longest time I thought Meatballs and Stripes were the same movie.
Okay, so that doesn't sound fun at all. Why is it called Meatballs?
Because I don't know. They're like the loser
Is it
kids.
like
I think they get
Heavyweights,
called.
but
Yeah,
just
yeah. I
from
think
the
I
70s?
assume so. I don't know. I don't know that much about it.
That movie rips, dude.
That movie is good. Number 3 was Moonraker, which I think is it's James Bond and it's Roger Moore. Roger Moore as James
Okay,
Bond.
yeah, I was about to ask.
I don't think I've ever seen any James Bond movies before. But that
None of
I've never
the old ones.
I've never seen any of the old one, anything before the Pierce Brosnan era, which I would assume it would drive like a James Bond fan. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, well,
Yeah.
I mean, I started where it got good. Is what I'm.
I haven't even seen Pierce Brosnan.
He's charming. I don't know. He's very Pierce Brosnan to me.
Yeah.
I don't even remember which one I watched with that one either. So, number 4 was The In-Laws, which was a buddy comedy starring Alan Arkin and Columbo, Peter Falk. And it actually sounds fun. The description is, on the eve of their children's marriage, New York City in-laws embark on a series of misadventures involving the CIA, the Treasury Department, and Central American dictators. So it basically just sounds like a sequel to Kisses from My President.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 5 is Rocky 2, which is the only one that I haven't seen, actually. Like, he fights Apollo Creed again, and I think he wins. Spoilers, I think.
I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
They like both hit each other at the same time at like the end of the last.
It's the freeze.
That's 3. No, that's 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Where
that's the
he gets up?
last scene of 3. Or the last shot of 3.
They freeze frame.
Yeah.
No, not where it freezes. Where I'm saying they actually fight, and then like they both hit each other at the same time. At, like, the end of the fight, and then Rocky gets up at a 9, and then Apollo is not able to get up, so you beat him like by 1 second.
Oh.
So I think that's 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is. Well, it's definitely not 1.
Yeah. Spoilers for 1. He doesn't win that fight.
No,
he just fights in there. That's like, he did it.
He's like, hey, well,
he's not a mob enforcer anymore. That's
yeah. Yeah, that movie won like Best Picture, I think.
Yeah, I think he got it. Mm-hmm. He won an Oscar for it too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so number 6 was Alien, which cool. I don't know. I prefer the sequel, Alien versus Predator, but what about Aliens? Aliens? What's Aliens? The one James Cameron directed. James Cameron directed an Alien movie? What? I was like, there's a note here to write that up, but I'm like, no time. Number 7 was the Muppets movie, which I don't think I've ever seen, but I'm always like meh about watching those movies, but I'm not sure why, because they're always a fun watch. So
yeah, I love the Muppets.
I love them too. It's just I was like, I don't want to watch a Muppets movie. Like I want to watch some fucking Batman when I was little, or cartoons. Why don't I watch some Muppets? But then I watch them, I'm like, these guys are great. Number 8 was the villain,
especially Gonzo.
Yeah, he likes to fuck chickens. He does, or having relationships with chickens. But in the course of that relationship, they do have sex. I'm making this way weirder than it needs to be. Number 8 was the.
I mean, how do you make a fucking Muppet having sex with a chicken not weird? But
I don't know. I was just gonna make it more weird. I don't know. He's got that long phallic nose, so anyway, the literal dick nose. Number 8 was the villain. Number 9 was The Wanderers, which starred Karen Allen and has a pretty sweet description. It's The Wanderers is a teenage Italian gang in Bronx, New York, 1963. They have their confrontations with other gangs. Drugs and weapons are uncool. Adult life awaits them. That's the description for that movie on the log line, the IMDb log line, which I was like, okay, gang. Drugs and weapons aren't cool. Like you're not setting yourself up for success here. How did this get popular?
What if the Warriors sucked?
Plus, the description just sounds like it was translated from a different language or something like that.
Yeah, it does.
But then number 10 was a movie called Just You and Me. Oh, sorry, Just You and Me, Kid. I gotta say it quicker. With which was a comedy starring George Burns and Brooke Shields. And what a team up that must have been, huh? So the description was George Burns stars as a former vaudevillian who befriends a young runaway, played by a 14-year-old Brooke Shields, who is being chased by drug dealers. Which at least she has 83-year-old George Burns to protect her, I don't know.
Smoking cigars nonstop.
As they're just beating the shit out of her.
Yeah. Hey, how did you stop that? I don't know.
Just roasting the drug dealers.
Call that a kick.
Anyway, that's the top 10 the week it was released. So the villain ended up grossing $9.8 million. At least that's what it says on Wikipedia. So who knows if those numbers are correct.
That's got to be its total box office, right? Not
the weekend. Yes, it is its total box office. Okay. Yes. It is it's cited though, I think, from a book, so it's probably right. I don't know. Anyway, but if that number is correct, it did at least cover its production budget, but I get why it was considered a box office failure when you compare it to like the numbers that Hal Needham's previous films did. So
yeah,
it's definitely
or any movie with Kirk Douglas in it, probably.
Yes.
Yeah, or anything with like that amount of Ann-Margret's boobs.
Yeah, that too. And then the last thing I wanted to point out real quick is the villain has a 0% tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes, which is only based off of seven critics' reviews. But, you know, Gene Siskel pretty much tore that movie a new asshole in his review. Like, basically saying how the director doesn't understand comedy. But it does have a 38% audience score. And Hal Needham had, I like his, he has an interesting quote about the critics hating his films, which I wanted to read real fast. But so it's an interview from, the website's Newsday, but I'm assuming it's Newsday. Okay, anyway. So the interviewer asks, you take very few shots at people you met over the years, but how much do you hate film critics? And Hal Needham says, reviewers never gave me much of a break because I don't make their kind of movies. Instead of the King's Speech, it's The Villain, which was kind of a live-action Roadrunner cartoon. And I understand it. I think the writers say, I can't have my fans thinking that I like The Villain for crying out loud. And then he says, I remember in New York, they had a bunch of press to see it. And there was one critic in particular, real bushy hair. I forgot his name. And then the interviewer is like, Gene Shalit. And then Hal Needham's like, that's it. Yep. He was laughing and just roaring. And I thought, I got him. But then the next day, he tore that film to pieces. So, yeah, he still shit on the film. That's it for the info. Sorry that got a little very sidetracked with but that was a pretty good sidetrack. I don't know. Anyway, so we'd usually jump into watching some promotional material right now, but I found a few more clips than usual for us to watch. So we're actually going to save them for our next episode, which comes out this Wednesday, which actually happens to be Valentine's Day. So our Valentine's Day gift for you, the listeners, will be a big old box of Arnold-shaped chocolates with the gooey promotional material filling. Schnitzely.
See you at the party, Richter.
If you enjoy our show, please consider giving us a positive review on Apple Podcasts or the podcast app of your choice. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Potty Richter to make sure you never miss an episode. See You at the Potty Richter is a production of Tape Deck Media. Follow Tape Deck on Instagram at TapeDeck_media or look us up on Facebook for more hilarious podcasts. You darn tootin'!
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.